So I want to talk Love and Marriage Huntsville, the Breakfast with Tiffany, the introduction of Baby Ace. Okay, we got a preview of a conversation that happened at their booth. Now we didn't get to see the whole thing. Obviously, it's not for this episode; it's for the next episode. But the things that we did get to see for me were very telling, and there are lessons to deduce from what we witnessed. So really quickly, before I get into what I've got to say, because commentary can be really harsh. I feel like that's kind of the nature of commentary if you're going to keep it real. So I do want to thank and praise them for being willing to give their lives to reality TV. Most of us wouldn't be able to do this. Most of us would have things exposed about us that are unbecoming. And that's exactly what's happening to them, right? So I like to discuss reality TV because I think it's a great way to observe the microcosm of the macrocosm. I know that that's a cliche thing to say, but it's a great way to get a view on like, oh, this is a social situation. This is what went wrong. This is what could have been right. And learning from this is how you improve yourself in social situations, all things communal, all things networking, etc. Right? So we see Latisha bragging about the Expo and how it was so wonderful and how they did such a good job. And then you see the ladies, Nell, Mel, the girls, right, telling her how things could have gotten better. And I mean, just allergic reaction to constructive criticism. The women were not mean. They were not disrespectful in what they said. The things that they were saying to me seemed very necessary. Tisha gets up and storms out. When Tisha's like there are certain apes that when they become very aggressive, they smile. And it's not something limited to apes, but I remember it was something that like terrified me when I figured it out. So that's why I'm using them as an example. But they smile. So Latisha gets up and she's smiling, but she's ready to go off. She's damn near ready to fight because somebody said something about her precious Expo. Now, I want to say this much. When the women were telling her about Marceau and saying all of the things about him resting in his femininity, it wasn't nice. They said all of the things, but when it came to the Expo and when it came to her, they were gentle. They were respectful. They were courteous. They were tactful about it. So you have, or I'll just say this. These are the 3 ways that I believe Latisha fumbled the Expo. And she fumbled the Expo. I mean, if I had to wrap it into one, she fumbled the Expo based on who she is and her inability to be cordial and her inability to value people without first knowing what they do. If Latisha and Marceau think you're a regular so-and-so, they're going to treat you like a peasant. Whereas if Melody thinks you're a regular so-and-so, oh, hey, how you doing? It's nice to meet you. Oh, what's your name? Yeah, I'm Melody. It's nice to meet you. Right? She's going to give you Southern Belle. And this is how you entertain angels unaware, right? This is a, Bible thing. You find in a lot of stories. Basically, somebody's hungry and you're like, oh, I have food. Here you go. And what you didn't know is that was just an angel in disguise looking to judge you, and you did well. Well done, right? Mel has that quality about herself. Many of us as African American women do, right? But in Latisha's case, until she knows that you're a doctor or a lawyer, she's just gonna treat you like, I don't know, like you're a custodian, like your job is maintenance. I don't know. And even that is, notable, but you hear what I'm trying to say. So, because Latisha doesn't know how to act and she has an inability to be cordial, she fumbled Mel, right? So, after the reunion where she's supporting people and saying she's supporting her mom and go find your baby daddy, right? Supporting your mother and slandering Sugar Mama as illegitimate. You were talking about her stepping out on her husband and cheating like you knew it for a fact, right? You called her a devil in sheep's clothing. You said she had a dark soul, and all manner of things that you've done to this woman, throwing in her face that her husband is in love with somebody else and got them matching BMWs or whatever the car was, and asking about their infidelity at their anniversary, their 10-year anniversary, like just going out of her way to be disgusting. So finally, she's like, oh, Mel, well, how come you didn't give us any input at the meeting? You know, I'm used to you being a leader. How come you didn't lead us? And Mel is like, baby steps, we're not there yet. You just got done doing all that stuff Uppity just named. You just got done doing all that stuff. You let them folk talk about my mama like she had an illicit tape out there. You was laughing about it. You was calling me all kind of stuff out of my name, implying nonsense about my kids who all look like they daddy. Like, it's supporting people who did that. Like, no, I need a moment. I need a moment, baby steps. So I know that they expected Mel to do the legwork. They expected Mel to do the heavy lifting and say, hey, by the way, A, B, and C are in the place of X, Y, and Z. You got to move those around. They wanted that from her at the meeting, and it was just like, no. So you fumbled Mel. And you fumbled the Whitlows. So Tisha has this thing about belonging to the core six, where it's like, we're the only people who matter. We're the cool table. But when Carson Blue came and asked that question about venture capital, none of you could answer it. But Tiffany knows VC. Tiffany knows venture capital, and she could have finessed the hell out of that question, but because you decided that Tiffany is unimportant, you don't know what she does, and she's not core six, you fumbled that information. And people would have been really impressed if they got actual answers to their actual questions. And all the Scott brothers do is ramble and speak in riddles. They don't put people on to nothing. They just ramble and speak in riddles. So, you fumbled Mel, you fumbled the Whitlows, and you fumbled the Fletchers. You sat there at Mel's, Melanie and Mariah, somebody, two of Mel's girls had a birthday party where you ran into Nell and you told her, oh, I'm going to make sure you get invited to the expo, and didn't do it. It's like you said it for the camera or something. It's like you said it as a spur of the moment kind of thing and didn't remember, because when you say something like that, you exchange numbers or you take a note. Because of course you're a mother, you're a businesswoman, you're a daughter, you're a community member, you've got so much going on, you got to write it down. Even if you just send a text message to yourself, or even if you just write it in an email draft to yourself as a note, so you can remember to invite Linnell Fletcher. And here's the deal. Latisha knew that Linnell had a daycare. Marceau didn't. So you knew that was an enterprising businesswoman. Chris and Nell Fletcher outed themselves as Huntsville's first, the original Black Power couple. I mean, and they've got 3 decades behind them of support in that. I'm like, do you know what it would have meant to have them there? And of course, you know, when they step out, they step out. So they be in their Versace. They be in that Versace. They be in that, like, that no, you know? Like, they look like money. They look like money. And they look like mature money. They don't look like new money. I mean, they don't look like old money, but they look like we didn't have this. They look like mature money, okay? They look like middle-aged money. I don't know. But having them there would have further legitimized the expo. You know what the expo looked like to me? The expo looked like, I thought it was very much ghetto. I thought it was very much rinky-dink. I thought it was very much, we're the Black Student Union and we only have $300 to use as the budget to put together our event. So we are going to pay for what we can, and then we're going to go to the registered student organization office to checkout tables and to checkout chairs. That's what it looked like to me. I mean, those of us who were officers and who held positions in black student unions and whatever kind of student club, campus student clubs, I mean, maybe you were in high school or you were in undergrad and you did this kind of thing. You were the president of the student body association, whatever. Like, it looked like one of them. It looked like one of them. It almost looked like it was supposed to be like a pizza party or like a dance. Like it looked like it needed a punch bowl and like plastic utensils and colored paper napkins. You know who would have called that out and caught that and fixed it? First of all, Mel. Like, you guys remember Mimosas with Mel. It was so nice. It was so elegant. It was so pretty, right? But let's nix Mel. You know who would have called that out? Tiffany Whitlow. You see how beautiful Breakfast with Ace was? Or Breakfast with Tiffany introducing baby Ace? Tip top beautiful. So if she would have had Tiffany at the table, Tiffany could have been like, all right, well, you know, what's the budget? What's it looking like? What's the decorations looking like? And she could have been like, ooh, my white refrigerator, girl. Ooh, you know, like she could have, she would have caught that. And that event would have looked more elegant had they involved her. But I'm just like, you just decided that she wasn't important. Now that Kimmy is no longer a nurse, Tiffany Whitlow does some of the most important work in the cast. She does some of the most important work on that show. I'm no Tiffany Whitlow fan, but like, it would hurt my integrity to call her less than what she is. And Tiffany Whitlow is the only person on that show when it comes to like elegance and how to plan how to set up a venue. She's the only person rivaling Mel. And another thing, she's the only person who can rival Mel as a public speaker. Kimmy is miscommunication, but Maurice is always so busy embarrassing her. She always got one of these going on because she's so daggone embarrassed by Maurice. I'm sorry. Yeah. So the expo could have been once, twice, 3 times the event, but she fumbled 3 times the people: the Fletchers, the Whitlows, and Mel. Tisha doesn't have an eye for this kind of thing. Tisha doesn't have an eye for interior design or the difference between cute and elegant, right? So, and there's a pattern of this kind of behavior, right? So for example, remember when Mel wore that yellow dress on the original Love and Marriage Huntsville like cast cover photo? She stood out like crazy in that yellow, right? So for the next photo, I know Tisha told herself, okay, for the next one, I'm gonna wear yellow. And you see on this new cast photo, she's got on that very casual dress, like it's got strings hanging from it. And it's like, my good sis, everyone is in a formal gown. The men are dressed formally. You're the only person in a casual Forever 21 dress. What made you think the dress is long and yellow, it'll work? And I'm like, it looks like it has a hoodie in the back, while Mel is sitting there giving you royal blue red carpet. Ouch. And then again with, the orange shirt, having the couple's dinner with the Fletchers. I made a video about that, and it's like, not for a couple's date. Not for a double date between married people. You don't wear that. I kind of think it's strategic for her to dress like that because she wants men to look at her, not because she's interested in them, but she wants Marceau to notice other men looking at her. Like, it does something for her ego. Probably because he's so neglectful as a spouse. Like when Martell was looking at her, like, she wouldn't like, oh my God, like, because like a lot of us as women, we take something and we'll cover, what the guy, we don't, like, even if we like what we're wearing, if we notice somebody staring, we feel a type of way. But, she was flattered, because Marcel was like, hey, stop looking at my wife. And it's like she needs that kind of attention from him. That's just an opinion. But I mean, those ladies tried to help her, and she got up and said they were hating. And her confessional, she's like, yeah, they're hating on me. And I'm just like, what does hating even mean anymore? Because when I was growing up, hating on somebody meant that you were envious of them and that you're giving them illegitimate criticism because you just want what they have. You're hating on her hair, dragging her by her split ends because yours isn't as long. You're hating on how her clothes fit because, you know, your clothes might fit great because you're so skinny, but you want her curves, you know, like something to this effect. But I don't know when hating on somebody just became like they dislike something and now you're hating on me. If you dislike my hair, you're hating on me. If you dislike how I gave my speech, you're hating on. Like, what is that? What is that? These words, they have these new meanings now. It doesn't make any sense to me. But she was in her confessional talking about, yeah, it just sounds like they're hating on me. I'm like, Tisha, what do you have that any woman at that table wants? I promise none of them want your marriage. None of them want your body. None of them want your degrees. Like, they have their own. None of them want your kids. They have their own. What do you have that they want? None of them want your... None of them want your Expo either. None of them want your Expo either, bro. I'm sorry. That was a little much. But I mean, they weren't hating. They were helping. And it's sad that you confuse the two. So that's all I got. Ain't got no more. Let me know what you think in the comment section below.